It's me. I'm the one out here putting the work in behind the scenes trying to save crypto while these devils really ruin it. This is not about money for me. I hope you guys understand this. I'm here fighting for you. It's me. This guy, please freaking glasses on, this douchebag is out here trying to tell you that only the suits know what to do. Only the suits. Only the people who have all the money. They're the ones who can determine what happens. No, our bill is for the people. And you're gonna find this out. I don't represent the people. The fuck I don't. The fuck I don't. I'm the one out here putting the work in behind the scenes trying to save crypto while these devils, they're trying to permanently ruin it.
Lil Bubble,
I'm on poles making LPs just to print a check. Got a bag of pulls back just to make a flex. Bridges then with Stark Swap, cause that shit up next. Got my gang phone, you can call me through the chain. Call me through the chain. You wanna reach me, call me on the chain. Call me on the chain. I got a drop on daddy, feature going steady. Got my E-hex and my ledger going crazy. Earning all the ink, every day I'm claiming daily. Trailer Park Boys and you know we going crazy. I'm gonna make it disappear like a ZKZX. Like a ZKZX. I'm gonna make it disappear like a ZKZX. Like a ZKZX. I'm gonna make it disappear. I'm on poles making LPs just to print a check. Got a bag of pulls back just to make a flex. Bridges then with Stark Swap, cause that shit up next. Got my gang phone, you can call me through the chain. Call me through the chain. You wanna reach me, call me on the chain. Call me on the chain. Call me on the
Hello and welcome to the stream, Ladies Take Crypto, featured special guest crypto stylist as well as Sammy Chica, and she slays crypto. How you ladies doing?
Hello. Hi.
Good. Great to see you all, and yeah, thanks all for being here. Special thank you to crypto stylist, our featured guests.
Thank you for having me. I'm well. Yeah. Well, it's early morning. I'm in Asia, so it's early morning. So it's a really great way to start the day. It makes me get up and moving, super early, and just to kind of really get, in a very. I'm really looking forward to this conversation with you ladies. I watch all your streams. If I don't catch it live, I always catch it afterwards. And
that's so sweet.
Yeah, so much alpha on this stream. So I think that I hope that this program grows and grows, especially during the bull market, more and more.
Oh, thank you. That's so kind. I would like to say hi to the chat. Evan, how you doing? Kay Hudson, tell me sweet things about the market. Sir or lady, I will present it in a very sweet way. Let's say that. Drix, Fiber Finance, thanks for being here. Crypto Stylist is in the chat too. We got Wonder Woman. Hey, Wonder Woman, good to see you there. Bit Finesse, hello. Guys, we might start with a Bitcoin chart, and then we're going to go to a couple of questions for Crypto Stylist, and yeah, we'll weave our way around the crypto market and let you guys know what we think. So I'm going to bring up the Bitcoin chart. We're going to get straight into it. Here we go. Boom. So this is on a weekly. I'll make sure I got you Bitcoin on the weekly. I do. So ladies, I'm going to give you my TA. I'm not a TA expert, but yeah, it is what it is. So I'll just tell you what I think. I'll blow it up big for myself so I can see it a bit better.
Go for it.
So what you're looking at here is some moving averages. If you can see the green line, that's a 10-week moving average. And then if you can see the purple line, you got a 20-week, and then you got a 50-week. So unfortunately, even if you go to the daily chart here, you can see it a little bit more obviously. We're getting a little bit of a reversal happening, almost a complete reversal, where you've got the 10-week moving average under the 20, under the 50. So if we go back to the weekly, I just want to show you guys my thoughts. Obviously, we got some big red candles here, and we're going to go into the reasons why. But if we zoom out on the Bitcoin chart, you can see where this has happened historically. And sometimes the 10 MA goes under the 20 briefly, and it doesn't make too much of an impact. But if you look, say, around this position in the past with Bitcoin, when you're getting these big red candles and it's crossing over, you're looking at a little bit of a rough time. This was a 60% retracement from here to here. We are currently at $56,000 for Bitcoin. It is my opinion that we're going to go much lower. I hate to say that, but that's what I think. Ladies, I'm interested in your thoughts. Where is this chart headed?
We're going down. That's what I think.
We are. We're going
down.
We're going down. The question is how low. I mean, Bitcoin's a beast, right? I can't say how much money's in that liquidity pool, and some of it's off chain, right? Different countries have Bitcoin. Obviously, big centralized exchanges have Bitcoin. How low is it? How low is it going to go? The thing that concerns me is Biden continuing to run for office, and the reason that concerns me is what kind of magic, unpleasant thing is he going to pull out of the hat to save his campaign? And what is that going to do to the Bitcoin price?
So go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You're the
you're American, so you should have your say first.
Okay, I'm American, but I haven't lived in America for over 6 years. So my perspective has shifted a bit because, it's just different when you're not at home. But I would say that the less that Biden is front facing, the better it is for the chart. So, for example, in the debate and having him, in something that's so intense, which clearly was just way too intense and overwhelming for him, and he performed very poorly, that really rocked the confidence of the entire American, like the stock market, et cetera, which then trickles down to Bitcoin, and then trickles down to, altcoins, right? So I think that the less he's front facing, the better. I mean, I know that there's a lot of talk about replacing him. There's talk about Michelle Obama, but I don't really see her jumping into the race at this point. I mean, she has the best life ever. They have more money than they have generational wealth. She has power, and she has, doesn't have the scrutiny of being in the public eye of, running for office. Even though if she did run, I think she would have a shot for winning. And I think she would be a much better, representative for the Democratic Party than we currently have, just because she's very alert and awake and at her prime. And but I don't think she's going to do it. I don't know what you guys think.
I wish that she would. I think she would make such a good president because, of course, Barack would be helping her, right? And I do want Trump to get in because that's going to be positive for crypto. I'm very bullish on that sentiment, but also her as a person and as a president. I think it would be incredible if she would stand up. And I've heard that she's not interested, which is extremely concerning because Biden seems to be pro-war and he seems to be pro-choose an animal and then make it into some kind of, mass panic event, which I'm not into. I don't think that's cool. And he's gone out of his way to change regulation for crypto across the world, not just in America. And that has far-reaching consequences for people's bags. Lindsay, what were you going to say?
I have a myriad of things that I want to say, but I don't know if they're appropriate for things off of Patreon or such nature. So I'm going to keep it, excuse me. So I'll keep it very basic. All the world is a stage. And these are two players, and they're just the outward facing front for these large corporations that fall underneath the largest corporation, which is the United States. The United States was incorporated in the year escapes me at the moment, forgive me, but I believe I can't remember. Anyway, so there is a year. You guys could, I was like, I gotta look it up. But anyway, so the year that the United States was incorporated, we became a corporation, and your social security numbers and things of that nature became your federal identification numbers, right? So, and these players, the outward facing front, I'll get back to the president because that's where we are today. These outward facing fronts are just that. They are the heads of larger speaking faces for corporations. Who's lobbying the money at them louder? Who's lobbying the money at them faster? So the Democrats and the Republicans, and it's not what our founding. And I'm so glad we're having this conversation around this time. This is so important. So much of the celebration of the 4th of July and the true fundamentals and reasons why this country was founded in the first place, why we have the liberties that or had the liberties that we had to begin with when they came here are just like, it's a puppet show at this point. So to, say I'm pro this or pro that, and I'm sorry, I have to giggle when you call her Michelle and you say she, when that public facing person comes forward, that what is written already, who knows this to be true, but things that are written, astrologically speaking, things that are written in such nature tend often to come true. So we'll just, I'm not going to throw out specifics, but it's been told that there will be a woman that steps up into a nature of power for a brief period of time, that it will be pro for crypto and community, but it's just, you guys have to recognize that we are rebuilding the financial system, and it's already been rebuilt. These things have been taken off of public forums. Like Fox has taken it off, and you can't find these things unless you go through an actual time machine on your computer to find these articles where they're publicly speaking about how quant is going to be the hyper ledger for all of the systems that connect all of these networks that will our governments and things of that nature will be running on. We're so glad we're here at Pulse Chain with actual decentralized crypto about, and we'll get to that. I'm so excited. But this is just a game, guys. This whole financial infrastructure is already built. It's already here. Now, who are they fighting for? Actually, this is WW ... You guys fill in the dots, right? Web3. The coincidences? I think not. Here we are in the act where we are in the internet of money, and they have access and we have access to the same information. Well, less information because our information is censored. So they're getting unfiltered, uncensored information from us. How much are we willing to give to that from them if we're fighting against opposing parties? We're only feeding into that system. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think the interesting thing, and McCarthy comes back from the grave from his Twitter account. I think it's his wife that must be controlling the Twitter account. And he's, he predicted, not for this election, but last, that Michelle Obama would stand up for the Democrats. And he has this really cool video, if you guys haven't seen it, on the deep state in America, which I thought was interesting because it's obvious that Joe Biden's not making decisions about anything. I've got a clip that I'll show you. Yeah, when I get a little bit later on, I'll show you a clip, and some of the stuff that comes out of his mouth is just abhorrent, and you just think, okay, I'm glad that the world has finally seen a glimpse of it, because I know the media has been hiding a lot of it. So we might just talk about the reasons why Bitcoin is dumping and just focus a little bit more on Bitcoin, because Bitcoin, let's face it, has been very dominant in the crypto space, and it is important what Bitcoin does because it affects Ethereum and it affects altcoins. And it used to, in my mind, be somewhat, negatively correlated, or at least sequentially correlated. Like Bitcoin used to pop, and then Ethereum, and then alts. And now when Bitcoin pops, this cycle, nothing has really popped. And when Bitcoin goes down, everything goes down. So it's a new playing field. The cycle is, perhaps with more of BlackRock owning more of Bitcoin, is changing the way that the cycle is playing out. Which is making it more difficult to predict, right? So if we go into the factors, what do you ladies think? What are some of the factors at play here? Why is Bitcoin dumping?
Class, there's a really good Twitter post by Pulse Beast. Can you pull it up? Because it really breaks it down in a way that is very analytical and logical and breaks down with numbers. And it put it in perspective, because I think the biggest thing right now is the unknown and the fear of what could happen. And we don't know. And that makes people act irrationally, because people don't know all the facts around Mt. Gox and the timeline of how many of what's being released, how much is being released, and what impact that could have vis-a-vis what happens on a daily basis in the ETFs. So it gives a really nice perspective, which makes it quite palatable and not very scary. So I think it's just
nice. Yeah. Let's have a read through here. Pulse Beast, thank you so much. Why is the crypto market dumping? So here's the deal: Mt. Gox BTC distribution. So they're going to start paying back 141,000 Bitcoin. So the market's freaking out, thinking that Bitcoin could crash to 45,000 or even 40K. Look, to be honest with you, that's the kind of numbers that I was thinking as well. So he's broken it down, and he's given some dates on when they're going to release their payments. And the dates seem to be between July and October. So
July and October is for only half. Only half is going to be released of the entire amount, which is, so the early payment is about 71,000 Bitcoin will be released. The total amount of Bitcoin will be released is
So that's
141,000.
71,000 out of the total, which was how much?
141,686.
Okay,
Is that
so
just
with
Mt. Gox, not the German government as well?
this is just Mt. Gox.
This is just Mt. Gox. Yeah.
So he's got, let's focus on the early repayment. Among the recipients, we've got individual creditors, credit funds, and exchanges. These BTC were worth $600 when Mt. Gox was hacked, and the holders are already up a whopping 100%. In other words, we're going to expect a lot of cheating. I mean, if you're up 80 to 100, X on something, what are you going to do when you get it? I mean, it would make sense just to take that win, right? I mean, in terms of the German...
No, and that's what they're doing. They're swapping out technology in the future, the financial system for fiat. Think about that. And these are government heads that are using the German taxpayers. They're funding these things because they're funding people to work.
But these are people that didn't hold because they're great holders, and they may not have been great players. It was just that when the exchange went down, they're owed the money, so they're not necessarily great holders of crypto. It's just that they were a force hold.
So they're getting it back in Bitcoin, though, right?
They're getting it back at the price point at what they were rugged. Is that right? I'm not quite sure. Oh, it's 1.5x, somebody said, in Bitcoin. Yeah.
Yeah.
So German government is selling Bitcoin as well. They're going to liquidate about 50,000 BTC, which is about $1 billion worth. And the amount that Mt. Gox has is about $9 billion worth. So there's going to be about $10 billion of Bitcoin that potentially could get dumped this cycle. So yeah, that's a little bit scary. And if you look at the S&P chart, those guys are just laughing at us because the S&P is actually doing super well. So it's been a hard road for us crypto people. I'm going to show you guys the Ethereum chart.
The S&P will continue to do people well. It's an election year. That these things have to show face, and they have to show good numbers. And they can't when there's no QE, and they don't even call it QE anymore. Anyway, we know.
All right, here's Ethereum. So Ethereum price $2,900, and this is on a weekly chart, which is about to cross over. If you go into the daily chart. We were talking about 10 versus 20 versus 50 MAs. There is a complete reversal on the daily. So this is a little bit devastating for ETH holders, and especially given what BTC chart looks like. Where is the line of support? I'm hoping around here, which would be about $2,800. But I wouldn't be surprised if it goes much lower. I hate to say that, guys. I wasn't expecting these kind of events to sort of come together like this, especially where we are in the cycle. And it seems that certain events in the cycle it's been very hard to predict. For example, in previous years with the Bitcoin halving, Bitcoin has ended up rallying. There might be some sell the news at some point, but eventually it's like overall positive, right? It's a halving year and then they rally. But this cycle, the rally was before the halving event, and now we've had this devastation for Bitcoin. So that's a little bit different. So it makes it hard to invest.
Major eclipse this year. Major eclipse, which shakes it up, man. It's not business as usual. We're at the end of a 248-year cycle. So this is the time for the great let's flip.
I think what's interesting too is what kind of people are being washed out at this point. So who's being washed out, and does that make it better or worse? Is it the weak hands being washed out? Is it the mid-level people, the curve people who just kind of follow what everyone else does that are being washed out now, who are people who would dump the chart later? Is it, is this strengthening the bull market, or is it diluting it? I think that's what is going to be interesting to see how that plays out, because it does. Fast Abdul says this time is different. I do feel like this time is different. Not only do we have the ETF that was approved, which completely just put a different momentum and dimension and really kind of threw the timing off vis-a-vis the other 4-year cycles. But now we have this huge Mt. Gox event that's the same time, simultaneous with the German government dumping. So we'll see. But I think that the effect, in my opinion, won't be I think short term it's going to be super extreme and bad, but I think that there is clear product market fit for Bitcoin and Ethereum. And I think there's so much demand for it. And with the ETFs, I think it won't be as bad as people think or anticipating.
And if you look at like where BTC has broken all-time high, so traditionally BTC makes an all-time high and then 3 years later it breaks that all-time high and it keeps going higher. I don't expect this cycle to be different in that aspect. So that would be around November. Bitcoin, I do still expect by November Bitcoin to break through 70,000. So although for some reason we're getting this almighty dump at the moment, which is horrible, I do think that Bitcoin by November will recover and break all-time high and go on to do what it was going to do anyway. But like you said, Crypto Stylist, it seems like it's an extreme shakeout, and I think it's sort of driven by BlackRock, if in my opinion. I mean, I was going to bring up a chart that showed how much Bitcoin that BlackRock owns, and by making the chart predictable and changing timings of things, it does mess with crypto investors. And it does, of course, whatever happens to Bitcoin, ETH and alts, it happens worse, right? So investors are going to get shaken out really, really badly. A lot of altcoins won't recover once they hit, 95+% down. Most don't recover. I feel like Pulse Chain is different, and we'll get into the reasons why later. But I don't expect in terms of overall timing of the cycle to change. And I think whatever was going to happen before in terms of price action in the bull is still going to happen, if not better. You go hard down, you go hard up. So right now we're about to go hard down, but I still believe that we'll go hard up later.
I agree. And history repeats itself. So even though it's been different because of the ETFs, and we've got the Ethereum ETF that's been delayed, that's coming, and I really don't think we're going to get much of a pump when that hits the markets. However, I do believe history repeats, and I do think we're going to see that, this shitty period from the halvening till the all-time high of the cryptocurrency market. I think it'll be very similar to previous years.
So, the markets at the moment are quite unpredictable. So, we're not here to give financial advice. Sell, hold, buy, do whatever you're going to do. I keep swinging between the three, which means I'm holding. If you can't make a decision, then that I think is, for me, it's the best option. So I'm going to say hi a little bit more to the chat here. Oh, here we go. Controversy. Which one of you is false Latina? Oh, that's so funny. Oh, she's actually my cousin. No, she's not. She's actually not.
Asian.
I'm not Latina. I'm I don't know, third generation Australian.
False Latina is a prime example of what Richard was talking about from the get. Hexagons are going to be targeted. Then they're coming and they want your hex, or they wanted your hex. Now they want your pulse chain, and they got it, right? They got your attention. They got your energy. Now, that project did not tick one box to me, not one box. And there were many red flags to it. So I encourage those who actually did get burned by that. I'm sorry for your experience, but please dig into that and really use this as your learning experience and appreciate it for what it is, because I know it's hard if you're gunning for those kind of projects. And I understand that there's a kind of economic energy that you're seeking to retrieve from it. Is that fair? Sound fair? But the time that you took to create that economic energy that you threw at that project, at the end of the day, now in retrospect, obviously it wasn't worth it. But at the time when you're making the decision and you're building all of those hours and your time, all the time, whatever it took, was it worth it to put it into that project? And that's truly how I make every decision that I make based going forward into every project that I get into. Is it worth the time that I took, the X amount of hours that I worked this week, away from my kids, away from my dirt, my plants, all my jazz? Was it worth that time to put it in here? And no, I wouldn't even. No. I wouldn't.
But that was pretty obvious. I had ladies DM me going, "What's with this Latina chick? She's weird. There's something not right." And it was multiple ladies who mentioned
You know
to
it.
me.
The ladies chat.
I absolutely agree.
Boys, if you want to know if the getting's good, like anybody out there, if you want to know if the getting's good, you hop in the ladies chat and ding, 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 ding. Our alarm bells are Spidey sense going, she's not a real actress.
Yeah, that's right.
Any lady that comes in has the same accusations. I find it difficult to weed out.
What?
AI, we all get that.
It's not a catty thing at all.
No, class, totally. Because when she came out, first of all, she came out of nowhere, which, okay, all right. And then she claimed she's a Pulse OG. And I'm like, and you're just now talking like at this moment when things are really down. Do you know what I mean? And then, and you know, so I'm like, okay, that's weird. And then, you know, she claims she's a coder, which I'm like, you know, have you been to MIT and looked at the computer science class? Coders, I'm sorry, they don't look, her energy, she doesn't have coder energy.
I would like to give her credit for some of her fake shit. So for example, the billboard was photoshopped, right? And I didn't realize it was photoshopped. And then the other thing was when she was pretending to be a coder, she had this certain program that they obviously not a coder. They had a certain program that most coders do use and tip tapping away. So I'm like, I just like to give her credit for her props, just like a little bit.
Oh man, how much did she get away with? 600 grand.
So I think
how much? 400?
$640,000 at the time. Is less now because the prices have gone down since this happened, but it was $640,000 because I was in the Twitter Spaces right when it came out. It was heated. There were so many people at Twitter Spaces.
Yeah.
They're going to try and track her down to an exchange and report her and try and nab her that way. That's what they're doing right now, which is good because bad actors need to get caught. It's just going to keep repeat. I mean, look at Gunter. He's rugged like 5 times, keeps getting away. But, you know, Richard always said, don't do this. Don't give your money to these people. But yet people do. They never learn. So I really don't have a lot of I don't have a lot of empathy for them. You know, if these guys want to, you know, give everyone money, their choice.
I'm pretty much a maxi, so I mean, I found that the same pattern. If it's not a quick rug, it's a slow rug. We're going to move on to questions for Crypto Stylist because I was excited that you said yes to come on because I find you very interesting. And there's a, you know, first of all, like when I first found out about you, I knew you were a stylist and you seem to be styling Richard. Can you go into that kind of period of time, like what was happening for you? Had you always been a stylist?
Well, you know, so I'm a stylist. I do styling. I work in fashion, so I'm more of a merchant, so I'm more on the buying side. So I've worked with big companies and handled, you know, really big OTBs. So I'm very much in trade, you know, and watching trends and investing to see basically are people going to buy this, right? So that's by, you know, I guess my day job. I have done styling basically my whole career because I really enjoy it. And when I met Richard, I actually approached him to start to do a project with the business that I was in at the time, where we were working on developing a project together. It just took too long, and then the bear market started to happen, and I just think it was just a little bit too controversial to be associated with crypto with the company I was with, just because they're kind of the institution, so they're very, very conservative. So that ended up not happening. But during that course of time, we became friends, and I did style him a lot. Like we went shopping together. We happened to be in Paris at the same time. Louis Vuitton flew him in, and I was there for Fashion Week, and we got to go shopping, and I got to kind of go through his clothes and, you know, put things together. People blame me when he doesn't look good. I get like shout outs on Twitter. Like, how could you do this? Funny. And I'm like, I don't live with him. I'm not like his, you know, I'm not on his speed dial. You know, we had done some styling for him. I really like, my favorite look of his is when he did the stream. I mean, the video with, what was the video? It was pre-recorded. He was wearing a Burberry t-shirt. It was the one that's, I think, has 1 million views by now. It was a long time ago, but it was the best interview that he's done. But I wanted him to do.
Was it with the lady from the UK?
The British girl.
Yeah. That I love that interview.
And he looked
that
great.
was so cool.
He looked great. Black t-shirt, the boots. He had attitude and just enough bling, but he looked smart, and I loved that.
The shoes as well. He had the white. I don't know how you would describe that. Yeah, they were cool.
Prada moon boots. Yeah.
So I have a question because Richard has been rumored to be well endowed. Did that need to be taken into consideration when you were styling him?
We weren't in that level of detail. I mean, it was,
I've got a clip. I need to show this clip before I ask you another question because this is good.
Oh my God. Feels like he's been working it out. It's like a muscle. See, if I got this dick pic, I would be like, yo, no, we can't. Like, I can't do this. He must have sex with like whales. Like, that's large. What? Oh, Chris, girl. Oh, that's not circumcised. I'm a Jew. This is like Mother Russia. Because it's uncircumcised. Oh, that's weird. Is that foreskin? I'm zooming. I was like, am I allowed to zoom? I'm zooming in on the foreskin right now. I don't understand that.
It's a little hoodie. It's like Kenny from South Park.
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, the styling session was very much about the total
it was more
look.
Professional than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't like that.
And have you been hanging out with Richard lately, Crypto Self?
No, I haven't seen him since the case started. I haven't spoken to him.
You haven't? You don't know how he is? I hope he's well. Hope he's okay.
Yeah, we do wish Richard all the best. And, I miss the outrage marketing. I really enjoyed that phase. And, yeah, I enjoyed that Prada video, that little bubble did of him as well. That was cool. So Crypto Size, I want to ask you some more questions because I watched the stream that you did for the conference, which was super cool. And you did mention, I think you've got some certificates or a degree in law.
I do. I'm an attorney, not practicing, so I'm in active status, but I'm an attorney. And I've taken a particular interest in crypto tax for personal reasons because I have to do my own crypto tax. And so I started to study via YouTube and just really studying the subject because I wanted to understand it. And then that kind of goes into not only are there so many specifics about crypto tax, so it's really fascinating. So it's really worth it for you to educate yourself, especially if you're American, or really anywhere, and understand the rules because it can really make a big difference in how much money you're able to keep, and versus how much you have to give to the government legally. Of course, all this is, I only believe in following the rules, but you want to play smart by the rules. And then it started, through that study and exploration, I started to get really into wealth preservation. So how can you use the system? For some people, that means moving to Puerto Rico. So for some people, that means renouncing your citizenship. For some reason, people, it's not for me. That's not the choice that I want to make just because my parents are immigrants and they gave their whole lives to become American citizens. So there's just something about that I can't just give up. So I want to play all within the system and what's the smartest way. And there are some amazing tools that you can use that can help you really preserve your wealth. And so I'm just really learning a lot about that. So it inspired me because, I streamed for a while and I left because it just got to the point where it's like, what do I have to say? Do I have something interesting to say? And what do I have to contribute? The chart was just going down and sideways for so long. I never gave up. I've been DCAing the whole time, but I just didn't feel like I had a lot to say. But now that I've really studied this, I really feel like it's something that people don't talk about because they always talk about how, the government's evil and taxation is theft and okay, whatever, but you got to pay your taxes. If you don't pay your taxes, you're going to go to jail, So, so learn the system and you can work the system to your advantage. So you pay a lot less, and you can keep a lot more.
You're an amazing crypto stylist.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to learning.
Right,
for sure.
And I know it's so interesting as well because me and Sammy, this is tax time for us, so we are like balls deep in this at the moment. And I was speaking to well, obviously I do my tax with my husband, but we were speaking about like, okay, what's the interplay between real estate and tax and crypto? And it's kind of interesting, and stable coins and altcoins and BTC versus altcoins. And it's kind of interesting because a lot of people like don't talk about it, but at the end of the cycle, you got to have a plan. Like you obviously have to DCA out. Like for me, it's going to be a great portion. And then what are you going to do with it? Well, for us, like we've got mortgage debt. So it's going into our mortgage because we don't want to pay that interest. And the way that my tax for my job happens is I'm in a high tax bracket. So I'm quite negatively geared with my properties, but over time you get a bit fatigued with the debt. And you kind of get a bit sick of it. So a lot of my profits are going to be going into real estate to bring me into more of a neutrally geared position, because I just would feel, when you're younger, you can go for that super aggressive negative gearing, stack the houses approach. And then as you stack your kids on, you're kind of like, oh, you know what? I'm kind of sick of this debt. I'm ready to transition some of the profits into real estate. And they're different cycles and they're different beasts, but it's kind of cute how they all play together. So for example, at the end of the cycle, if you take profits, you might go into stable coins, and then you might have a set time, and then you go into BTC, and then you go into altcoins. So I find the interplay between different assets to be quite interesting.
It's so fascinating. I think that there's, if I can give any, I'm not giving advice because I don't want to give legal advice on the channel, even though I can. I'm not going to. And when I do start my own channel, I'm actually going to bring on experts who have been practicing crypto tax for years, and who, can answer a lot of questions, because there's just so many subjects just that aren't touched. And I think one of the things that I can say from a more planning point of view is don't wait till just before tax season to start dealing with your taxes. The planning needs to happen 365 days a year. Like I reconcile my taxes every month between crypto and looking at what my gains are, et cetera, et cetera. Do I need to, get rid of some of my, harvest some of my losses, et cetera. So, but if you plan all year around, you're going to be much better positioned at the end. And you also don't have to deal with that stress, and for us, it's in April where you're like, oh my God, I have to do all this. I used to do that, wait till every March, and I would just freak out because there's so many things and it's so complicated. But if you do it every month, then you know where you are, and and you have a plan, and you're in control. And that is one of the best decisions that I've ever made for my life. So that's something I would advise people to do. Drix, that's really, really kind of you. How did you know? I'm flying to the moon next week.
Yeah, because taxes are so, people don't realize how lucrative it can be once you understand them. They always think of it in a negative sense. I'm always excited for tax time, and people don't understand why. And at my work, I'm surrounded by what I would think are financially illiterate people. They're doctors, but they don't know anything about finance. And they're like, how come you know so much about tax? I'm like, well, we get taxed so much. You guys should pay attention to this, because the idea is at tax time, you get as much as you can back, but it has to be legal. And for that, you need to be knowledgeable in the tax rules. Let's read what Drix has to say here. Crypto Stylist is way too successful at too many things. She's an equestrian, astronaut, and discovers new species of fish. So Crypto Stylist, you gotta tell us about this. I had no idea about these other hobbies that you've got.
Oh, no, I don't have any hobbies. I literally crypto and tax. I'm the most boring person on the planet.
Oh, what do you do in your spare time?
Well, I don't have a ton of spare time, but in my spare time, there's where I am, there's a lot of dogs which get abandoned. So I foster, and I work with a foster to, and bringing awareness to encouraging people in the culture here. They like to buy and not adopt, and trying to really spread that word. So that's, I guess, my main hobby.
I love that. If there's a donation, or a website or anything, feel free to put it in the chat there. And please, if somebody can put Crypto Stylist YouTube, her channel in the chat as well, the link to her YouTube channel, that would be appreciated. So I hear, you're going to be streaming a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm going to start streaming again once a week, and I'm focusing on the tax and the financial planning, going between that, and then also really focusing on different sub communities within Pulse. I mean, my main, holdings are in the RH ecosystem. I mean, without question, you can call me a maxi or whatever. I really don't care. I am what I am. I really believe in that. To me, that's like blue chip. So Pulse, PulseX, Hex, Inc., etc. So that's where a majority of my holdings are. But I think it's really interesting and really important to start to really focus in on the communities that are doing in the projects that are really interesting on Pulse Chain, because that's what's going to pump your Pulse bags. And so I'm, going to be interviewing founders. I'm, from SolidX to PTGC to the Atropa system, to BBC, the 9-inch. I really love 2Fucks. There's a lot. The Tangang, I really like what they're doing. I know they're super controversial, but they're bringing real value to the chain. So, just really focusing on that, and, builders and founders who are doing interesting things, and, making that that's my area of focus, because Reed's law, that the value of the sub communities can exponentially increase the value of a chain, as opposed to just having, the members of a chain. It's a really interesting theory, and I want to really explore that and then really support the sub communities. So I've even started a D-Bank where I have a wallet that's just all the sub community coins. So I'm just tracking it. And right now it's a small wallet. It's worth like 30,000, but my goal is to see if that wallet can cross $1 million, which I think it can.
Oh, that's cool. I love that. Yeah,
So,
Pulse Chain is pretty cool. Like any kind of anything that you kind of want on Ethereum, we do, we tend to have the big versions on Pulse Chain. So I always forget what's a copy of what, but we've got liquid loans, so you can take out a loan. We've got the Hedron Arcosa ecosystem. We've got Power City. We've got some big players there. It's a rich community. And we might go into some Pulse Chain charts, and then we'll keep see where we go to from there. Let's talk a bit more about Pulse Chain. So I'm going to show you the chart. Share the screen. And let's see what you guys can see. Yeah, you can see it. So this is a bit crude, guys, but I come up with this left tip prophecy and tell you all about it. That sounds so crude, but so what I did, right, is me and my husband, we go between taking out the nipple and putting it back in. And I wish I had taken it out before I did this stream, because I feel like it's a bit too much there, but we're going to proceed anyway. So what I wanted to do was try to predict the bottom for Pulse Chain. And what I've done is obviously just extrapolated this line that you can see here. And I thought the bottom would be at 4 zeros and 4. And we did briefly, you can see that wick there. And I said in my tweet about it that nipple wicks don't count. So we've had a wick here that's gone below. But I mean, considering what's happened with BTC and ETH, I think actually we've been going down for so long. I feel like we're in more of a sideways, a little bit down and sideways trend. And when is that reversal going to happen for Pulse Chain? Well, we do have some important dates coming up, guys. And I think it comes down to the SEC case. Richard did mention in a tweet that the reply from the SEC for the dismissal, what the SEC thought about the dismissal case is on, I think it's the 8th of July, which is not too far away.
I didn't see that.
Yeah. And then his team responds, I think, in August. And then, of course, we have the October hearing. So this is, it's interesting. We're obviously not privy to what's happening behind the scenes. I think in some ways Biden still running it's bullish overall for the end of the cycle, because I think Trump will get in, and then by the end everything will all be happy again in terms of the bull market kicking off. But the Biden administration and the SEC have gone out of their way to basically dampen all of our bags through regulation, and they've cast a very wide net, which includes Pulse Chain. And for those that don't know, he's accused Richard Hart of fraud and also of unregistered securities. So it's been a big deal. Like once Pulse Chain was released, we did very well. We doubled pretty much within the first 2 weeks. And then we had the SEC announcement, and our chart dropped 40% and continued to drop after that when Wales got a bit unsure of what was going to happen. And Wales basically hit the pause button on large DCAs until they knew what was going to happen with the case. So any sort of speculation about the reply from the SEC, where do you think the SEC is at balancing between, is Biden going to end up as president versus Trump?
Well, okay. I'm going to start with what I think is going to happen on July 8th. And I know people are going to hate me, but I don't think the case is going to get dismissed. I think they're just kicking the can down the road, and they're going to set a date and just give a view to what the next steps are. I think that's really typically what happens. The best case scenario, obviously, is if it gets dismissed, even though there are some people that argue that dismissal might feel good in the moment, but it doesn't give us clarity on what's going to happen in the future. And could the case be brought forward again? There's no finality to that. It's just, kicking the can down the road. But dismissal, I think, I would be happy to see that, but I would also be very surprised.
I must admit, I'm kind of thinking the same thing. Like, I'm always hoping for some kind of wild card, like it magically happens. But like you said, especially while Biden is in power, I think they'll just keep kicking the dates down the road, and their aim would be to kick the date past this cycle. I hope that doesn't happen. I think October is going to be incredibly important for Pulse Chain and the future of Pulse Chain for this cycle. So I think we're all super eager about the results in October. It's just why so many people are going to fly over.
Do you think there's a possibility they could dismiss part of the suit, so part of the accusations or charges?
I think that might clarify, because they've said their wording has been very unprofessional, and they've talked about these entities being Hex and Pulse Chain and PulseX, but they haven't clarified what those entities or corporations are, because there is no corporation, and they didn't obviously know that because they didn't do proper research. But, I would expect, I think the judge has asked them to clarify exactly what do they mean by that. Because you can't just
like, sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
They were talking about a correlation between because it's a, Uniswap. So they were looking at it like, well, Uniswap was the original technology, and it's located in Manhattan. Therefore, we own it. Yay, New York.
It's like a bizarre, it's kind of a bizarre net that they've cast, and I don't think they've defined who or what is in the net yet. So I think that's a little bit awkward for a legal proceeding to have such vague boundaries. So I would expect clarification at least on what or who they're after, because the wording was, they talked about alter egos. Like, why would a legal document talk about an alter ego? Like, you're talking about an imaginary friend, or it just is very confusing. Like, what are they actually referring to? So at least it could possibly bring some clarification, but overall, I think it's just going to be delay tactics, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's what I think too. So, and
Crypto
again, if I'm wrong, if we're wrong, that's good. In the sense that
I hope I'm wrong.
Amazing,
Absolutely.
but I just don't want to. I think there's a lot. I think what's happened since Pulse Chain has launched is that there are all these kind of false narratives, these dates, like the 1-year anniversary, the 52-week shakeout, because Richard said 52 weeks. It's been 52 weeks, so all of a sudden the price should go up. And what I always say is that the market is going to do what the market doesn't know about the birthday. The market doesn't necessarily know about the court case. The market is going to do what it's going to do. And, I think we're forcing these narratives on these dates, and, it doesn't necessarily work out that way. And then when it doesn't happen, people get really upset and they all dump. And, I think you're just putting unnecessary pressure on a situation over which we don't have a lot of control.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we have to remain positive in so many ways. I mean, even though, it's great to look at reality and accept there's a possibility that it may not be dismissed. Okay. But, good things happen. I mean, look what happened to Julian Assange this last couple of weeks. That's amazing to see him just let go like that, So I have a lot of hope, and I really hope something great happens.
Absolutely. I hear what you're saying about false narratives, which is why I go out of my way, not to be bearish, although I know I sound very bearish, but to try to be honest, because at the end of the day, people are putting in their hard-earned money. I don't have ulterior motives. I don't have my own coin. I'm a Pulse Chain maxi pretty much, plus I've got Ethereum. That's pretty much it, and maybe some Pepe on Ethereum. But overall, I don't think that I've got things that really alter. I have a huge amount of bag bias towards Pulse Chain in general, but that doesn't mean that I'm not a realist. And in crypto, you can win big and you can also lose it all. And I can't predict what the cycle is going to do. I don't know what the chart is going to do. Nobody does. So we have to be realistic. And when we see something objective like BTC going under the 20 MA on the weekly, you have to say, oh, okay, there's a massive correction to the downside that's happening right now. So yeah, I think moving towards honesty is a good thing. I'm just going to try to put the link to your channel in here.
Class, you're 100% right. And it's also about managing expectations, because hopium is, yeah, it feels good, but it's like sugar. It tastes good in the moment, and the next day you feel awful. Like hopium can be dangerous as well. You know, you want to be positive, and you know, I do really believe in this system. I'm really invested, you know, in Pulse Chain and the RH ecosystem. So I'm not being negative on it, but I don't know the timing. We just don't know. There's so many other factors that need to play out, you know, the way that they're going to play out, and it could take longer than you want. And you just have to be in a position where, one, you're not over leveraged, and two, you know, that you're not depending on this. If you're depending on this to live, then that can be really stressful, you know? So I didn't quit my day job. I still have my day job. And if my crypto bag went to zero, it would suck, but I would survive, you know, and that's the best position to be in, I think.
You have to be prepared to lose it all in crypto. And that is what it is. Like great upside, great downside. And then you can end up with nothing depending on where you sell. Most projects go to nothing. And that's the reality of it. So it is a bit scary when Bitcoin and ETH go down so harshly. I do believe that we'll have a harsh correction and then we'll be back on track by November. But in terms of altcoins, and this is not singling out Pulse Chain, this is altcoins in general. It's a super risky game. That's just being honest.
Absolutely.
It is. That's why you have a rule.
Sorry, Lindsay, your audio is just cutting out a little bit.
I was like, there's unwritten rules at this point. Or I was like, well, can I get any closer? Geez. But although they're very clear, have a plan. Have a plan. That's the rule. Have a plan.
Yeah, let's talk about our plan, because people don't talk about end of cycle plans. It's almost like it's a dirty word to say you're DCAing out, but it doesn't really make sense, at least for me and my mindset, because I've told people this in the past, like my attention span is quite small. I will be DCAing out the majority of my bag by the end of the cycle. And you do need to have a plan for that. And by a plan, I mean, you need a time scale and you need a target, and then you need a method to how you're going to DCA out. And it's a complicated beast because it's going to be unpredictable where the chart's going to go and at what time period. We know in the past, after ETH has topped, that the SAC wallet had put money into Hex, and Hex went on to do extremely well by the end of the cycle, which is what we're hoping is going to happen to Pulse Chain. So that run, I mean, it's a risky game, right? Because that's right at the end of the cycle. And there might be a steep up, but it would be right at the end of the cycle. So that's super risky. And that's why a lot of influencers are talking about left translated. I don't believe in left translated personally. I think it's going to happen after ETH tops. But I realize that game is super, super, super high risk to be taking the profit right at the end. So, yeah, I don't have like a super set in stone master plan. I think, you know, we're a bit too early to see how it's going to play out.
I think the Tengang has a really, the thing I like most about them is their academy, where they educate on how to LP out of a position. So that has a much, much smaller impact on the chart. It's a much more, I guess, responsible way to exit.
The reason why I have a little bit of a problem with that is because the thing that you're going to LP out of needs to be going up if you're LPing out of it. So that is also a dangerous game. And also you might want to be doing it in real time. Like you might want particular prices in real time. But if you're in a coin that's done very well over a long period of time, for example, when it comes to the Tengang, HOA did well over an extremely long period of time, which made it the perfect token to use LP to DCA out or, you know, or out of, because it did so well over a nice gradual period of time. I think each asset is different, but LP like that can work both ways and it can be very effective. Like, for example, the ETH PLS pair is super cool because, you know, if PLS price is dropping and you're in the ETH PLS pair, you're just DCAing into PLS. Exactly. So I find the LP positions can be very useful depending on how the market's moving, if that kind of makes sense, because and depending what asset we're talking about, because with Pulse Chain, like in my own head, the upside is going to be so steep. And it depends over what time period you guys believe it's going to go up over. Like with Hex, the time between ETH chopping and Hex chopping, I think it was May. One went in April, one went in May. ETH went in May. The first top for Pulsion, I think, was September.
It's September.
And yeah, so May to September. So May 5.
I could pull up a chart, but I'm like searching my brain.
Yeah, it's like at least a few months.
Yeah, it was September.
So yeah, I suppose
we'll see what happens. Hey,
I suppose there is time. Like if it's happening over months and it's going up, then LP might actually be super effective. A super effective way of DCAing out. Yeah.
It's something to look into, and maybe with part of your bag, not the entire part that you want to exit, but if everybody is of this mindset, it could be maybe less devastating to the chart. But yeah, the timing is that nobody knows. People say they know, but nobody knows. What is it's a feeling too. Like when you get that emotion and that extreme FOMO, that's usually like the top. Because I've fallen in at that time and I've always regretted it. So now I'm starting to understand when you see the indicators on social media and, there are so many streamers who talk about, the signals, top signals, and really looking for those. They're not wrong.
What are your top signals, Crypto Stylist? When are we at the top? What are those signals?
It's when my favorite description is when Richard said when Jimmy Fallon had an NFT as his in his profile picture, that was the top signal. When somebody really mainstream like that, or like Kim Kardashian starts promoting crypto, then you need to get out, because that's just like you're really catering to like the center of the center. You know what I mean? So that's just me. I don't know. It could be wrong, but when you just start to people who are catering to the middle are really starting to speak up about it, then in my opinion, that's a time to think about, is this a good time to start thinking about exiting?
My friend Somi said in a post that when Coinbase is the most downloaded app, that's the top signal as well.
That's a good one. Yeah, Somi's top signals I think are really good. Yeah.
Yeah, they're really good.
What were you going to say, Lindsay?
What's your top signal, Lindsay?
Doge. Watch Doge. People on the street talking about Doge like it's like the greatest thing that they just found. That's a good time. We did just see a mini market top, and we saw the signals. So we saw the celebs sliming in, right? Yeah. Well, whatever you want to call those. Okay. Like we got a very D-list.
Yeah, we had a few. We had a few celeb meme coins come out, didn't we?
I wouldn't call them celebrities. Like these are the D-listers. Like they're creeping out from the corners. Like I need money. I know there's money in crypto. They're waiting for me.
Okay, DJ Bomber has a good one. He says top signal is when all the people you tried to onboard want to onboard, which is true.
I haven't heard of that. That's cool. That's I missed the top, the last top in SolidX, and it was so funny because like we were displaying all the behaviors of like being in a top, right? So the chart was going nuts, and I mean nuts. Like there was like it was just like this was just like stuff dreams were made out of. And I saw like because we got in quite super early, and then I was saying things like, "Oh my god, it's going to be better than Bitcoin. Oh my god, no, hold forever," and like taking screenshots like every day, like taking screenshots of the chart. Like, when every day you have to go to your portfolio checker and you have to take like a screenshot because you're just so impressed with yourself. And the euphoria was just like, and that we did that over the course of about 3 days. And in retrospect, that was the biggest top signal. And I was like, damn it, I didn't. And then of course we just held through and it's going okay now. But I'm like, damn it, I totally missed that.
The same thing happened to me. Yeah. I gave into the thing.
I was in so early and it was such a good top. It would have been the best like opportunity to take profit. And I just didn't. I was just in euphoria. I just wrote it.
Too busy screenshotting to click sell.
Screenshot every day, a screenshot. Like super excited conversations and yeah.
That's what you're talking about. That's the signal right there. When you're too excited to stick to your plan. What was your plan when you got into that project in the first place? Were you planning on, okay, I see longevity in this project. I'm going to be responsible in this ecosystem. I'm going to pull 10% when it hits this target. Or am I going to pull 25% when it hits this target, but rotate it back into XYZ? So you just have to make sure that
it's important to have a plan. Yeah, we did not have obviously didn't have a DCA out, which is with that's why with pulse chain, like I think like people predicting the price is actually important because it's part of them starting to develop like their plan. And I don't like price predictions because of course you can get in trouble with it, but you need to do it because you need a timeline and you need a target. So it is part of developing your plan is to have a somewhat of a timeline and somewhat of a target. Do you ladies want to throw any numbers out there?
Numbers
for what? Pulse chain top?
Yeah. Timing and price.
I'm like an easy 2 cents. I reckon pulse chain will easy 2 cents. I know it seems a lot right now, but that's just what my psychic spirits are telling me.
Nice. Sammy, I love your top call, Sammy. And don't feel pressured to give a call either, ladies. Like this is just like an opinion. It's not like we're trying to give people advice or anything. Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking time-wise, 2025 between kind of like October, November time. And then the price is going to be a difficult one. I really think it does depend on the case. I think 0001 is probably a target that, or 2 is probably a target that's quite achievable. I also realize that other people would have similar targets. And so then you're playing some weird ass game, right? And it depends on how much liquidity is left, because if it's in a low liquidity coin, like a lower liquidity coin like Hex, people would get more feverish with getting out earlier compared to a higher liquidity coin like Pulse Chain. They'd let it ride a bit more. So I think we could go to 0002. That'd be quite sweet. I'd be happy with that.
That's so bearish.
Oh, that's still isn't that still like a 20x plus from where we are now? What do we got now?
That's 2x from stock price.
We're at like 404. So 0002 would be like my brain is not. I can't do on-stream maths. I have to use my calculator on my phone. Someone in the chat can help me. Do you ladies want to give any timelines or rough estimates?
Go for it, crypto.
Second half of 2025. Somewhere in the second half of 2025 is where I think we're going to peak. And I would say that I think, and this isn't hopium, I think that it will be higher than what people anticipate.
I agree, Joseph. I think something crazy is going to happen. I think we're all going to be impressed
with the financial system. Called the quantum financial system, and it's now computing in the trillions easily, quickly, like more efficiently than it ever was before. Floodgates will open. We're just waiting for regulations. So let's look out, zoom at the big picture. Micah, the playground sandbox for all these regulations that they're going to creep out into the rest of the world, because let's be serious, it's the same system. They're just putting it on distributed ledger technology at this point, right? So let's look out at that picture. How long is it going to take the financial system to catch up with these things? We're not looking for like the normies to catch up till 2030. Let's be serious, because what you need for the normies to come in, you need them to feel like it's raining free money again. And they're not pointing the money printers at the normies. They're pointing it boom, boom, right at the banks, because that's who needs to be saved right now. The normies don't need to be saved. They're still overspending on their credit. So I'm sorry. I'm just like, I don't mean to be a bummer on that one. I'm just talking about like, let's zoom out macro picture on that one. People are still spending like there's money coming in forever. Well, of course there will be, because they're using you to work for it forever. So like when this system flips 2030, I feel like blow off top for us in this ecosystem, 2028, which sounds like it's so far away. Don't get me wrong. Like there'll be time, like there'll be like peaks, and I don't see that necessarily us reaching that like, oh, it's $1. Like I don't have a magic wand. I wish I did, or a crystal ball that would be handy too. However, just stepping out and looking at the macro, and then it's so easy to like get caught up in the echo chamber that we're in right now, especially if you're in the chats or Twitter or whoever you're following. It's really important to diversify your algorithms too, and your sources of information, so that you're getting a well-balanced like view of all these things. Like if you're hearing me right now and you got into Pulse Latina, I'm talking to you, and you know, we're here to help you. Like,
she's a marker of what you shouldn't do.
Yeah.
No, if you got in, then you're a degenerate.
No, it's not even. Yeah, it's like, well, if you got in,
degenerates. It's a
Tiger. But what I'm saying is, like, zoom out, big picture. 2030 is when the great, like, flip the shifts. All the systems will get on board. Our financial system works so slow. You're trying to implement like blockchain technology into a system that still uses technology running from 1974, and like they're going to put that off as long as possible because they don't have any rush to switch to the system. Thing like a lot of these institutions are making money just as this. So anyway, as things change, I'm thinking like we'll see some action in the markets. Absolutely, like Q4 2025. I really think this presidential election is just gonna, like, they're either gonna send it and it's gonna hit 100K this year, Bitcoin speaking, and then ETH will fall next year into 2025. I think we'll see our like exciting. Woohoo!
But we're doing some in the chat. Check out these
people
bullish,
make millions and millions of dollars
it.
out of a few $1,000s in Hex. So anything's possible in crypto. That's what crypto is for, you know.
Look at these targets. These are, I love the bullish sentiment as well, because the thing that I realize in my own head is that it's extremely difficult for the human brain to comprehend or appreciate or see something that hasn't happened. So nobody last cycle, for instance, would have dreamed that Hex would have hit 50 cents. They wouldn't have even have at this time in the cycle. Yeah, they wouldn't have comprehended. Wouldn't have comprehended it.
People are like, you are so stupid if you think that Hex just physically, if you look at the market cap, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, you will never hit a penny, and it hit a penny, and boy did it, and it went way beyond. So like, it, you know, that's perspective too. When I talk to the OG Hexicans and what they went through and what they were told was not possible, and then to where it went. And it's not hopium, but you're like, okay, cool. Past performance is not, you know, a guarantee that's going to happen this time, but it is perspective.
Absolutely.
You just can't fathom what you just don't know what you don't know. Because we don't know what's going to happen, my targets are extremely low because I just don't know. But people would have been in this same position last time because they just didn't comprehend what was going to happen.
That's why I love crypto.
Be prepared for
I love it.
positivity. Yeah.
I love it when it surprises me.
As much as I get worried because, like, oh, I have to be a realist. And then I always, you know, at the back of my mind, I'm like, don't get people wrecked, don't get people wrecked. But as much as, like, you protect people from the downside, you also have to be prepared or at least open to the upside as well.
Yeah.
So, for instance, if the dismissal does happen and Trump gets into power, you know, Gary Gensler's not chair of SEC, then you have to be also prepared for an extreme upside. So that, you know, that also may take a little bit of preparation. You may, for example, not be wanting to disclose your success as it's happening in real time to your family and friends. That would be, and your coworkers. I think that would be very silly to start talking in public about how successful you are at crypto.
That's just asking for trouble.
Yep, you're asking for a wrench attack. That's what you're basically asking for. So if you go around your workplace and you're giving them constant updates on your portfolio, you're asking to be wrench attacked later. Like it's not a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's icky too. Like, nobody wants to be around that guy or girl talking about like their money that they're making. It's obvious that you're not making the money that you're making if you're walking around with your phone talking about it all day. Like, obviously you're not being as productive as you could be if that's what you're focused on. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think people just have to be a little bit mindful of their conversations with their family and friends, because it doesn't just affect how things are performing now, it affects how things go later. So I think that's, people should value their privacy and not disclose too much, because also they'd have people knocking on the door for loans. That's super orkies at Christmas. As much as they could be hating you because the price is down, they could be begging you the next Christmas for money. That would be a bit awkward.
You're right, though. It really opens you up to be a target if you're putting yourself out there. And if you know, if you're excited about where you're at, educate them. Be a little bit like, you know, if you throw out a whole, like what happens if you're eating something delicious, right? You throw salt on it, like you ruin the whole thing. Just be a sprinkle, like a fleur de sel. Throw a little bit of education out there. Oh, hey, look at this. It's so fun. And then just drop it, walk away. If their curiosity's piqued, they will pull that thread. You cannot, and trust me, I've tried, you cannot pull a horse that's not willing to drink water down to water. They're like,
True.
Yeah, it is awkward because, like, most of my family and friends aren't into crypto at all. So they're not actually interested. The only conversations would be some kind of neg, for example. Oh, so how's it going? like with,
Are
and
you
then
okay?
it's almost like,
And where
so
it's
there's a lot
relevant,
of,
though, there's so many different options out there. Are they a shopper? Do they like to online shop? Do you know that they shop on Amazon? Do they like designer goods? Like, there's like a zillion little threads we could pull to even pull them back to Pulse Chain at this point, not to mention the entire financial system that's being restructured. Like,
I find it weird.
we
Like,
are here.
family and friends, they'll do the neg with crypto. Oh, so how's it going? But they would not do the same with your bank account, would they? Oh, so what's in your bank account? Or they wouldn't ask you about your real estate portfolio. Oh, so how are the houses? Oh, they're
I don't know
going
what's
pretty
going on
good.
in your
Thanks very
underwear
much.
drawer, right?
It's because it's such a volatile asset, and they don't, they're usually not invested when they're talking like that. Oh, so how's it going? It's like,
Because they only want to hear what the mainstream media is feeding them. They want to hear if you're like, if somebody's saying that to you, like, oh, how's it going now in this moment? Because obviously this is a perfect time to be talking about this. Like, the sentiment is out there, not in this room. We got good vibes.
I don't want
The
to
sentiment
look at
is
it.
out there.
Yeah.
I got a couple of quick videos.
You don't need
and,
to. If you're in good projects, you don't need to look at your portfolio. That's the entire point of being in good projects. Like, if you are out there swimming and you're looking at your phone anyway, the best thing you could possibly do is start looking at the stable coin narrative. And like, did we ever think that we were here? And there is room for price discovery and speculation, and it was on purpose, because who else wants to create more millionaires than the man that we are all, sitting behind class right now?
So
the opportunity is here.
Good
We
time
need
to
a
get
stable.
people in, really. I mean, realistically, you'd rather shill now at the bottom
Yeah,
than at the top.
absolutely.
All right.
It's a hard
because
shill,
nobody's
but
going to be mad at you for getting them in now. They're going to be really mad at you if you they're like, the harder you push now, the more people are rejected. But the ones that are open to it, you could be like, all right, let's go. Like, you could like that. The ones that are interested, you could start lighting that fire under the road. Hey girl, did you pick up $20 in Bitcoin this week? Like, some of my clients I start with so low. I'm like, do you pick up $20 in Bitcoin this week? No. What's wrong with you? Get on it, totes. How much you spend on coffee? Let's go. Some of them need a heavier hand than others, but then other people out there, like, they're just gonna do what they're gonna do. We can't save them all, but we'll try.
Yeah, little things add up. We're going to wrap it up. So Susie Q said, what does glory look like? So we might go around, and anything that you guys didn't get to say, please say. And then also, if you want to work in this question, what does glory look like? And also, where can people find you? Sammy.
I want to say, firstly, thanks for having me, Claire. Always good to see you, and always good to see you too, Lindsay. And great to see you, Crypto Sales. It's been a while. And find me at Sammy Chica on Twitter, Telegram, at Sammy Chica Talk on TikTok. And what does glory look like? Man, the Hyperbull is the place to be. I just love when everything's going up. Shit's going crazy. Everyone's happy, laughing, smiling. That's what glory looks like to me. I'm looking forward to it next year.
Crypto Stylist, thank you for being our featured guest.
Thank you for having
anything
me.
Anything that you didn't get to say, where can people find you, and what does glory look like for you?
Crypto Stylist on YouTube and also on X, so same as in my signature line. And glory looks like, for all of us who have been here during this really painful bear market, to see people and hear the stories of things. I got to buy my mom a house. I got to retire my sister. I got to, really live out their dreams and contribute and give back to society and to their family and to their loved ones in a way that they weren't able to before. That to me is glory.
I love that. Thank you. Lindsay, your turn.
Oh, thank you. You can find me on Twitter at SheSlaysCrypto. You can find me on YouTube at Vibra Finance Livestream. If you're in the need of helping to structure a portfolio that works for you, you can find me at vibrafinance.com. And glory to me looks and feels like the ability to be self-sovereign with clean food and water, a community you can trust. It looks like having families and children around you in a setting that is growth positive and net positive for everyone around them. So that's what glory looks like to me.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for coming on.
So good to see you all.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
so great to talk to you all. It's been an awesome start to the day.
Absolutely. So what does glory look like for me? It's unexpected gains to the upside. So although this stream I have focused on be prepared for the savage down, I would love in my lifetime to experience the savage up and just see those God candles get printed and all of our crypto dreams come true. So yes, it may have come across that my sentiment was quite bearish, but I'm just holding at the end of the day. It does hurt when the price goes down and down and down and down. But overall, I am holding and I'm still convicted. So thank you, ladies. I think it's been a great stream. And thank you, chat. I've appreciated your contribution. And everyone have a good day. Good night.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.